2, 1.
Okay, this is a call to order of the first regular meeting for November. Today is Monday, November 9th, 2020, and the time is noted as being 6:33 p.m. We have the Pledge of Allegiance now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the roll call. Mr. Secretary, would you call the roll?
Yes, John Weldon,
Present.
Bobby Brown,
Present.
Sybil Allen, Albert Benahan,
Present.
Jessica Martinez,
Here.
Joseph Sokolovic,
Present.
Chris Taylor, myself, Joseph Lombard, present.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Next up is public comment, which is agenda items only. Ms. Valier, is there anyone who has signed up for public comment?
Mr. Weldon, at the current time, no one has signed up for public comments.
Okay. Approval of board minutes, the first being the October 26, 2020 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Mr. Lombard, second. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Brown. Is there any discussion or edits to be made? I'll just go around the room. Ms. Brown,
No comment.
Mr. Benahan,
No comments.
Mr. Lombard,
No edits.
Mr. Skalovic.
No material errors or omissions.
Okay. Ms. Martinez.
No.
Okay. I think that's everybody. Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
It's already moved, John.
Hello?
We did already.
All
That's it. We already did that. Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Okay, let the record reflect that Ms. Allen has joined the meeting. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next are the October 28th, 2020 special meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Allen. Are there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Next is the minutes of the October 30th, 2020 special meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Brown. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I'd also like to note for the record that Dr. Melissa Jenkins from the superintendent's staff is here. I see some other every kid, every day icons. I don't know who those are, though.
Dr. Morgan is on.
Okay,
Dr. Black is here, and
Dr.
Mr.
Black.
And Mr. Blanes.
and Mr. Planis is here. And also Alan Wallach from the Facilities Department. Did I miss anyone from the staff?
No, that's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. So next on the agenda is the chairman's report. I don't have anything of substance to report since the last meeting. So we're going to move to the committee reports and referrals. First being educational diversity, equity, and inclusion. Mr. Sokolovic, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report. No meeting has transpired in between regular meetings. Our next meeting will be Monday, November 16th at 6 p.m.
Okay. Are there any referrals? Okay. Next up is facilities. chair of that committee is no longer with the board, so there's no report for that. Is there any referral for the facilities committee?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Benahan?
Yeah, I know we don't have no more, more members, but I know Mr. Testani, he said he will answer me, some question that I really send it to the facility, some questions, and I really, Mr. Testani, have the email. So I'm still waiting for the answer. I don't know when Mr. Testani can answer me. That question is coming from facility.
Are you in a position to answer that tonight, Mr. Testani, or do you need to save that for an offline conversation with Mr. Benahan? We can't hear you, Mr. Testani. You're muted.
Yeah, I don't have a problem answering. I can talk to Mr. Benahan either after this meeting or sometime tomorrow if he'd like to go through each individual question.
Yeah, sound good. We can talk tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Testani. That's good.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Okay. Next on the agenda is Finance Committee. Is there anything to report from Finance?
Nothing to report in finance. Finance will be meeting on November 18th, again at 6 p.m. Tentative unless it's like not good with one of them committee members.
Okay. Any referrals for Finance? Okay. Governance Committee, again, the chair for that committee is no longer with the board, so there's no report. Is there any referral for governance? Okay.
Mr. Chair, do you know when the possibility of a new committee chair will be in place? Is that something we're going to wait until next month?
You know, we're only about a month away from committees being reassigned. If there's somebody here who wants to volunteer to take Mr. Illingworth's place as chair of those two committees for the coming month, if there are some pressing issues.
No, nothing pressing.
Okay, then yeah, I was inclined to just let it go till we find Mr. Illingworth's replacement and we are back to a full board. And then whenever committee assignments are made, everything will be back up and running to full capacity in that regard.
Alternatively, Mr. Weldon, if something does come up that's really pressing, it can probably be pigeonholed into another committee that's relevant rather than just.
So does anybody here, again, I'll ask as I did before, is anybody here inclined to chair either the governance or the facilities committee? I am already a member of both. I can chair them, but if that's the case, they are still missing a member. So if somebody isn't interested in chairing, is there anyone who would be interested in simply being a member if the need arose?
I'll take a membership role.
Yeah, if the need arose, I would as well.
Well, I'll yield to Mr. Lombard first.
I mean, there's two committees, so.
You want to take one of each?
Yeah, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, if the need arises.
I will appoint Mr. Lombard to governance, and I will appoint Mr. Skolovic to facilities.
All right.
And if anything comes up that they need to meet between now and the next 4 to 6 weeks, we have a full committee. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Valier, if you make that notation on the committee rosters and resend it to the board at your convenience.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay. Nothing to report from personnel. Are there any referrals for personnel?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think we need to, at this time, come up with a formal evaluation for superintendent. I know we're in a pandemic, but we could possibly.
Actually, before you finish this, Mr. Illingworth was also on personnel.
Right.
Is there anyone who wants to take his place on personnel for the remaining month or so?
I'll take it.
Ms. Allen? Okay, good
Okay.
enough. Ms. Valier, if you make that change. And Mr. Skolovic, you want to start developing an evaluation for the superintendent?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I don't know off the top of my head when the committee is next scheduled to meet. I want to say that it's Thanksgiving, which is not going to happen.
Right.
So we can meet, I'll get together with, I'll send out a doodle poll to see when folks want to meet to develop some sort of a evaluation for the superintendent between now and the end of the month. Okay. Is that something you want to push through personnel, or you want to do that as a full board?
It could be the full board. It could be either or, but it'd probably be more expeditious to do it through the full board. I mean, it's
Okay.
not fair. It's not fair to Mr. Testani, and it's not. I'm Superintendent Testani or the full board for.
That's fine. Yeah, no, I think it's something that everybody should weigh in on. I personally don't think it's appropriate to put it to a committee, have
Right,
them
yeah,
develop
right.
something that pushed to the full board. It's a
Right.
big enough topic, so we'll arrange for a special meeting between now and the end of the month to do that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is students and families.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next meeting is gonna be September 19 at 5:30, September 19, 2020 at 5:30 p.m.
You mean November?
November 19th, you mean?
All right, November, November 19, sorry. Oh my God, Jesus.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Bobby.
Teaching and learning, Mr. Skolovic.
We will be meeting on November 17th at 6 p.m.
You, any referrals? Next is the superintendent's report. First is a general report, followed by a COVID-19 update since the last board meeting. Mr. Testani, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just going to share one item with everyone.
Excuse me, Mr. Testani, before you
Yes.
start, can we ask everyone to mute their speakers, their microphones? I'm hearing a radio.
I
in the
hear
background.
something in the background, or if you've got a television going, or
Just first item on Saturday, November 21st, Bridgeport Board of Education, we are having a community resources drive-through to help support students and families. We have a number of community partners, including Bridgeport Caribe Youth League, Southwest Community, Greater Bridgeport STEM, Bridgeport Public Education Fund, Wakeman Boys and Girls Club, Hall Neighborhood House, and a number of others that will be participating. Flyer will be going out if later tonight, if it hasn't gone out from our office yet, to all of you. It's going to be outdoors to maintain social distancing and health and safety. It's Saturday from 9 to 12 at Central High School. So through the bus loop, each of our community partners that will be providing a number of things from food and other things to families and students. And folks will be able to drive up and go table to table, station to station, and access community resources. So just want to announce that tonight, November 21st, Saturday, 9 to 12. If anyone would like to participate, anyone would like to volunteer from the board, just shoot me a quick email. I'll let Carly Roca Reyes know, since she's helped and really taken the lead on coordinating this from my office, so that we can get board participation as well. The overwhelming response from our community partners on this has been great. So please, if you can't volunteer, if you want to just stop in for a little bit, if you have some time on Saturday, November 21st, it'd be greatly appreciated. As everyone knows, we began our K-8 hybrid schedule today, November 9th. So we will now be, except for pre-K, the entire district is running on the hybrid. It seems to have been working extremely well in our high schools and trying to reduce any disruptions and better identifying the contact tracing from our health professionals. So after a lot of thought, going into the red, which would be part of scaling back and going a little bit less in person according to the reopening plan and the orders from the Department of Public Health and the State Department of Education and the Governor's Office. We have done that. Conferring with many of my colleagues in similar sized districts, including Stamford, it seems to be, a nice, manageable way to go without disrupting students and individual schools. So I think this is a good transition that we've made here in Bridgeport. I'll give you some updates with the COVID shortly, and you'll see exactly why we're probably made the move at the right time. This decision wasn't made just out of thin air. It was in collaboration with our health department and our health officials who recommended the sooner we can get into the hybrid, the better off we'd be in our schools. And with the community spread the way it's been in recent weeks, I think the decision was a sound decision on the board's part. So thank you for your support. That being said, a couple of other items we need to discuss this evening. One, I'd like to give an update on the training for diversity and equity that I've reached out to some folks and we're coordinating, getting some pricing and some other logistics worked out. So we'll have an update on that probably at the next board meeting on where we're at and where we're going. There's a gentleman that I reached out to that I saw at a conference last year, the Cape Caps conference, that I thought would be perfect to come here to Bridgeport if he would allow his schedule will allow him to. And he's extremely interested in working with Bridgeport Public Schools. So hopefully it all works out in terms of timing and cost to the districts, because I think it would bring a great perspective to all our staff here in Bridgeport, working with a diverse population such as ours. The other item that's become probably in the coming weeks another hotbed item that we will need to deal with is winter sports. Department of Public Health have released their guidance on winter sports. As you recall, Bridgeport was ahead of the curve in what ultimately was a disaster that was handled, in my opinion, by the CIAC and many of my colleagues' opinion regarding fall sports, particularly football. I don't think we want to see a repeat of what happened statewide in the winter. Department of Public Health has said that in order to compete in a moderate risk, sport such as basketball, which is being considered moderate risk, with mitigation strategies, which means masks must be worn at all times, not only on the bench, but also in competition. That goes from youth sports all the way through 12th grade. It does exclude collegiate athletics, but then it does apply to any adult athletic leagues and of the kind that you'll see throughout the state at community centers and rec leagues. So talking with the 3 comprehensive high school principals today, Dr. Black and the 3 athletic directors, we, as many probably have right now, have major concerns with playing basketball with masks and what is the feasibility of playing with masks. It was once said that masks were dangerous if you competed with masks in these moderate risk sports. And now, a couple of months later, we're talking about putting masks on students to compete in what I would say is probably more of a high risk sport when you consider there's no social distancing. It's constant in your face. In order to play basketball, anyone who's competed in a basketball game knows, at least in the football realm, there is intermittent breaks from each other. But basketball is just constant. Also, locker rooms would be restricted, and you would not be able to have use of locker rooms. So, right now, the consensus of the entire group was that we do not need to put ourselves in a position where we're going to just be canceling the the season anyway, because one positive case will put the whole program on quarantine for 2 weeks. So the inevitable right now is to just say that we're going to put a hold on winter sports. Really, the only one that's affected here, high risk, has been deemed unplayable right now. That's competitive cheer and wrestling. So it really leaves basketball here in Bridgeport, and no one feels comfortable right now. Even speaking to some of the basketball coaches, it's really a stretch to expect children to wear masks while they're playing basketball. So anyone would like to ask any questions or weigh in on that, please feel free at the moment.
Okay. Ms. Allen, do you have any questions?
None now. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Brown?
No questions.
Okay. Ms. Martinez?
No questions.
Mr. Benahan?
No questions, sir.
Mr. Lombard?
No questions.
Mr. Skolowik?
No questions.
Okay. Have anything else to report, Mr. Testani?
Well, I just want to make everyone aware, because obviously we saw what was the result of the decision we made back in the fall. There was a lot of pushback on social media and people wanting to rally and everything else. But ultimately, the health officials prevailed in their recommendations against the sport. So in the next week or two, you'll probably start hearing the same kind of pushback from our basketball families and our basketball kids. We talked a little bit about skill building, and those are the types of things they recommend, is that you continue to do those kind of things in a very controlled environment. However, no one of the group feels confident that it's going to be enough, that this won't break out into basketball games, pickup games, or intramural type games inside the gymnasium. So we're really putting this on pause for now. The CIAC has extended the deadline. They have a few more meetings set up. I've offered to Glenn Lungarini from the CIAC to be part of any discussions. He did not respond to my offers or any of the offers of some of my colleagues right now. So they have their committees. They're going to operate and make a decision. No disrespect to the CIAC, but this is a big money sport for them. Without basketball being played, this really cuts into them being able to operate their budget this year. And unfortunately, I'm not willing to do that and sacrifice health and safety when we're a red city right now in COVID cases. That being said, going into our COVID update, right now we have from November 5th through November 8th, according to the health department, 289 new cases in the city of Bridgeport. 17 of those 289, this is encouraging, came from 14 schools and 3 daycares. And out of those 14 school reports, only 8 were in our buildings, Bridgeport Public School buildings. So as you do receive correspondence from me, it seems on a daily basis when it comes to the reporting of cases, relative to the number of cases that are popping up across the city, we are extremely low percentage of those cases. So I feel confident that our mitigation strategies and our stepping up of those strategies starting today will definitely have positive impact in the spread across the community. We are urging, again, as the holiday season comes, just like the state and the governor's urging, just like health officials are urging, and our local government officials, that people stay diligent. Non-essential gatherings should be avoided. They should really limit who they interact with, folks interact with, and that's including myself and all of you on Thanksgiving and the holidays that will soon follow. This is really critical, especially to maintaining a consistent educational system here in Bridgeport. There are a lot of rumors popping up that the governor is going to go fully remote. I don't see that happening. I think it's really going to depend on local decisions. I think we're in a good spot here in Bridgeport to stay open and maintain in-person learning, if not, full time like we've just pivoted from, but at least in the hybrid model where our most vulnerable populations still have access to in-person learning 4 days a week. So I'll take any questions at this time if you have any.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Oh,
Lombard?
sorry. Yeah, I actually want to go what you had said about the thought that skill building would ultimately lead to pickup games and so forth. Can you talk a little bit more about why you think that's inevitable, or how, so there, I guess then therefore why there wouldn't be skill building?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that if once that ball gets rolled out there's a certain aspect of the game that they coach, which is skill building, and then it's putting it into practice, and kids want to play. We would still offer it as an option, but with the understanding that the student athletes know that the possibility of competition is not going to happen, based on the metrics that we see here in Bridgeport of community spread. So, the health department here in Bridgeport is against any indoor basketball right now. So, having conflicting recommendations is difficult, because if you do have the health department saying not to compete, and then we go ahead and someone outside of the student athlete. So that was one of the things that was raised during the fall season, is that parents said, we'll sign a waiver. Well, unfortunately, when you sign a waiver, you're only waiving the impact that it has on the student athlete. If that student athlete tests positive and goes home and transmits the virus to an elderly grandparent, and that elderly grandparent then becomes severely ill and possibly dies, then we are still liable as a school district for that, because they only can waive liability, can't waive liability for the person or the persons that the impact. So I just want to be very careful in how we participate or allow student athletes to participate, because it could potentially become an issue for the school district to liability.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Ms. Allen, do you have any questions?
I have none at this time.
Okay. Ms. Brown, any questions?
Not a question, more of a comment, just so I make sure I heard you correctly. So that the program itself is not looking to cancel the season.
I'm
Is
aware.
that correct?
Well, no, right now the CIAC statewide has not made a decision. Their intention is to possibly move forward with basketball across the state. However, the State Department of Public Health and our local health officials have said that any basketball played from, age 5 in a youth league all the way through 12th grade, participants would have to wear a mask even during play. The masks would not come off. We'd be limited to 2 fans per student athlete, and it would really be restrictive.
Okay. I just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Benahan?
Yeah, that's her question, and I believe that can be among comments. And sometimes I don't like to speak about this, because you guys know for the day one, I don't want to have the school open. And I want to say this and be sure it's in the record, Mr. Testani, because I know when you on the COVID-19 dashboard, it's very obviously we got around 82 students and 26 staff. It's almost 100 cases. 34 buildings out of 36 haven't been affected. So my question is, how come they were talking about sport and they're trying to do this and everything when the things are getting worse? My question is, how come we still have all the schools open? We're talking now about the sport, but really, the situation is getting worse. It's getting worse. People say, oh, we need to have the school open because the budget. I don't think so. And I always say this, and I keep saying, and I'm gonna stop the saying. Education never gonna expire. Education is never go away. Education never gonna run away because it's always gonna be there. But the life of the kids or any person, they can go fast. So I don't understand why we keep doing this when you can when you do the report of the COVID-19 dashboard, the number is there. It's getting high. It's getting high. It's getting high. So how come we talking about the sport? I'm confused on this now.
Okay, so sure, good question. First and foremost is that to clarify for, like you said, people think because of the budget. Our budget is not impacted. No one's going to take any money from us if we go fully remote. No one's going to get less pay. This idea that there's financial impacts why we stay open, frankly, is ridiculous. I can't say it in any other plain circumstances, but of course, there are those that no matter how many times you say it, they don't believe it. So the reason why we stay open, because kids need in-person learning. Kids need, especially our special education students, our primary grade students who cannot learn strictly from a digital or virtual experience like this meeting is being held. Secondly, we've spent a lot of time, and the health experts, in contact tracing across the state, not just here in Bridgeport, but statewide. The vast majority of contact tracing has led us that transmission of the virus is not happening in schools. It's happening in outside activities, family events, social events, youth sports that are not sanctioned by school systems, that are being done independently. So health officials agree that the safest place to be for kids is school. The mitigation strategies that we have, the mitigation strategies that we enforce are here. When kids are at home, they're not at home. They're at babysitters' homes. They're at aunts and uncles' homes. They're at wherever parents can bring them in order for themselves to go to work. So the spread is more likely to happen as a result of schools being remote. New Haven has not opened schools yet. They've been completely remote, and the transmission of coronavirus in the city of New Haven is no better than it is here in Bridgeport. So there's no evidence that schools contribute to a vast spread of coronavirus in the community. Hope that answers the question.
Okay. Mr. Lombard, Ms. Martinez, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Mr. Skolovic?
No questions, but just a comment, because as chair of the finance committee, I'm very familiar with the numbers. Closing our schools saves an astronomical amount of money, and if the schools weren't closed, we would be in like a $5 million hole right now for last year, and we save money on transportation, heating costs, electricity. Could even save money on personnel because empty buildings don't need security, empty buildings don't need all these services. So closing the schools would be a financial payday for Bridgeport Public Schools that we could sock away for another time. So that's actually exact opposite of reality, that argument.
And to just piggyback, if I may, on what Mr. Sokolovic just said, the governor ordered us back in the spring when we closed to make sure that we maintain our payroll and pay all employees their full salary and benefits, regardless if they contributed to our remote teaching and learning. If that was the case now and we went fully remote, Mr. Sokolovic brings up a good point. We are not under any order to pay all our employees their full salary and benefits if they're not contributing to remote instruction and learning. So there would be plenty of folks that would be negatively impacted by being laid off from their positions until school reopens. So I think we're doing a more than just a service to our kids. We're also doing a service to our community, because many of these folks are people that live in the community as well.
Okay. Is that the conclusion of your report?
Mr. Chair? May I go back to what Mr. Testani said?
Okay,
Thank you. I understand, Mr. Testani, that some folks they're not gonna get paid and everything, and that's sad. You know, and I understand the point that everyone has to pay the bills and everything. But like I always say, that's why they have a union, unemployment that will take that, and I know they will take benefit. They will figure out how to fix the situation. But I know most of the staff they already know them and not really have communicate with them. They're very scared because they can be okay, they can be nice, they can be, but you don't know what's going on, what happened around all the students. And I know money is not important on this life. It's very important, but not as so much like a family member or yourself or any kid die because of the coronavirus such a situation. That's my worry about it. Money, material, school, is up and clothes and everything. Always going to be there. But like I say, I want to be sure being in the record. Education never go away, but the life of any kid or any staff, they can go fast. So I want to be clear on that. It's not the point that we need to the school open or the staff they're not gonna get benefits or they're not gonna get paid. No, I know a lot of staff. Almost all 80% of staff they're scared to go to work. Of course, they need to go to work because they're not having a choice. But they're very scared to get out from that school and said, I hope I don't have nothing that my family not get sick. And I'm worried because I'm a parent before anything. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
okay. So next on the agenda is discussion and possible action on the over-under initiative. Mr. Testani?
Yeah, so we talked about this at the facilities meeting. I can't remember the date of that meeting. I believe it was early October. The over-under initiative has approached us. It's headed by Kyle Martino, who is Staples High School graduate. If anyone's familiar with MLS soccer here in the United States, he was a pretty good player for 7 seasons with, I believe, 2 teams in MLS. And he lives in Brooklyn now and wants to give back to some communities around the country. And his first stop is here in Bridgeport. His initiative is they raise money through private donations to come in and they install on any court, whether it's a basketball court, tennis court, what have you. What they want to do is try to get kids playing multiple sports, try to get kids active, introducing them not only to the game of soccer, but their belief is that if they draw kids to the playgrounds, that kids will be more likely to participate not only in soccer, but in basketball and whatever else can be played on that surface. So they come in, they have a company that designed these small soccer goals that are installed underground under the basketball hoop. And within 30 seconds, you can pop them up and play. And within 30 seconds, they pop back down, they go underground, and you can play basketball without risking any injury to, because of the access to popping up the goals. So this costs, if we had to go out, if we were going to purchase something like this, from design to install, about $20,000. They came to Bridgeport last week. I had a couple of locations we thought that might be helpful. The intention was to do some data tracking on how much use that the court got afterwards, whether it was for soccer, basketball, or what have you, and then try to go out and get additional funding. And the goal eventually was to do 13 across the city of Bridgeport. So I showed them 2 locations, one at Blackham School and one at Cesar Battaglia. They were torn at which one to pick, so they've committed to do 2. They're going to do both locations. Sometime in March is the goal for them to come in, do the install, and then get some kids out and do a big kickoff event. They were going to bring out, as Kyle said, the circus would come to town. And one of the major persons behind this is Steve Nash. Many of you familiar with pro basketball. Steve Nash is also a pretty good soccer player. He played many seasons, an all-star for the Phoenix Suns, point guard. So he's behind this. I'd like to have him come to Bridgeport and bring all the folks that he's got behind him that are contributing to this initiative. If everything goes well in the coming years, like I said, they'd like to do 13 total courts here in Bridgeport at no cost to the city, at no cost to the Board of Ed, just to get kids more active on our courts, playing soccer, playing basketball, playing handball, whatever, just to get kids drawn to the courts and participating in sport and away from things that could potentially bring them to harm or violence. So that's the over-under initiative that we're asking for approval tonight.
So you want to enter into an agreement with this organization for them to install a certain number?
There's no agreement per se in a certain number. They're going to come out and they're going to do Blackham School and Cesar Battaglia. And then from there, if everything goes well, we'll probably expand. If we need to come back to the board for approval for new sites, we will. If not, we're just going to move forward. I'm not sure if there's any written agreement. If there is, we can always just have that viewed by our legal counsel.
That's what I was going to suggest. If there's a written agreement and our attorney is in concurrence with it and with whatever insurance parameters, and because they're going to be installing and providing something that if it mechanically fails somehow, we could be on the hook for something, or just make sure that the appropriate insurance levels are observed, that those things are
$2 million.
Are reviewed by our counsel.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have any questions? Ms. Allen?
None?
Okay. Mr. Benahan?
No, no question.
Ms. Brown?
No questions.
Mr. Lombard?
Yeah, I'm just curious if you could just talk more about this contraption. Is it something, who controls lifting it and lowering it, things like that?
Anybody?
Mechanical, electronic? What?
No, it's all, manual. It's very light. He does a demonstration. If you go on their website, I can send it all to you after this. Under Over Initiative, it's pretty lightweight. Any kid 7, 8, 9 years old can easily operate it and put it back. It's pretty simple.
And so it's right in front of the pole, the basketball hoop pole?
Correct. If right between the pole and the end line, they go into the asphalt, and then everything gets put flush with the ground, so there's no trip hazards or anything else. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
You look like you have something else you want to ask, Mr. Lombard.
I don't know yet. I'm just trying to
come back.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. All right, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Martinez, any questions?
Not at all.
Okay. Mr. Sokolovic?
No questions.
Mr. Lombard, do you have a follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to seek a motion to approve the arrangement with the over-under initiative as it's been described by the superintendent for the installation of 13 locations for goalposts.
So
Two.
moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
Okay.
Second.
Second by Ms. Brown. Is there any further discussion?
I thought it was 2 locations right now, going for all.
I thought it was an initial 13.
It's initial 2. It could go to 13
Okay.
later on.
Okay. So between 2 and 13
Right.
as okay.
Whatever the response from the kids are in
Yeah.
terms of use.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of the 2020-2021 Alliance Building Grant application. I
That's,
assume that's why Mr. Wallach is here.
absolutely. Mr. Wallach will take this.
All right. You're muted now, Mr. Wallach.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Now, okay. We had a application from the state we just received a few weeks ago to apply for a $2 million Alliance Building Grant. In the past 10 years, we've probably had 3 or 4 of these. And fortunately, we've been very fortunate to receive approval, which is probably in the $7 or $8 million, which traditionally funds things that our budget would not allow us to fund, or the city under its capital plan has not included. This year, we were fortunate enough to get the grant. It was for $2 million. Part of the grant is going to be used for new boilers in 3 schools and new front-end equipment controls for other schools. The remainder of the grant is going to be used for IT phones and communication systems for schools that don't have them. When we wrote the grant, we wrote it in conjunction with the IT department. And I would recommend that we approve this since there's a deadline on this grant. Everything has to be completed by August 31st.
So you're looking for approval to make the application for these various,
No,
for this grant, for
we
these
already
various
made the
projects?
Yeah, we've already made the application. It's already been approved. We have the $2 million there because there wasn't a board meeting in time. So they allowed us to apply for the grant and then send their approval after the approval of the board.
So this is a retroactive approval of the application?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay. And the package, the grant application was in everybody's package. It's kind of lengthy, but I think you get a sense for the kinds of things that these funds would cover. Does anyone have any questions
These are
about it?
funds- Yeah, these are funds that typically the Board of Ed budget doesn't have the financial capacity.
Yeah.
to
Yeah, it's an alternate
approve.
funding source.
Yes, correct.
Ms. Allen, do you have any questions?
I have none at this time.
Okay. Mr. Benahan?
I wanted to know how much gonna cost the situation.
What? Rephrase that?
How much it gonna cost? I'd like to know how much it's gonna be. The information Mr. Allen said.
I believe he said the total is 2 million?
$2 million, which the board is not responsible for.
Right. The state would provide.
There's no
funds.
matching funds.
Okay, right. So it's 100% grant, no match on our part. It's basically free money.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ms. Brown?
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Skolovic?
Couple.
Okay.
All right, we got a lot of, I went through the package. I see some of our new buildings under 5, 10 years old are getting a whole new phone upgrade. What are we going to try to, any way to avoid that in the future? I know it's legacy phones that are no longer supported, but is there any way to disconnect ourselves from the technology and the services of the technology, so the technology will still be useful after the services have gone defunct or what have you?
Well, some of the equipment will be able to be used for other schools. And, some of the schools that are 10 or 12 years old, technology is not new. That technology is not new. We're going on the advice of Jeff, who recommended that we do this. And this would bring our school system up almost 100% on the same school system, same controls, same platform.
And another question. We've got an older building slated for replacement in the next couple of years, Bassick. Is it worthwhile to put all new stuff in there just to rip it out again?
Well, that equipment, we can reuse it in another school. We
Okay,
can take that equipment out of Bassick and put it in another building.
Oh, and yes, and a final question, the closets, the IT closets, I'm definitely in need. It's been problematic in the past. Are we going to ensure that in the new construction that this is actually thought about in the forefront.
Yes, completely air conditioned, depending on the load that Jeff will have a hand in when we go to the schematic design of the building.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay. Ms. Martinez, any questions?
No.
Okay. Mr. Lombard, any questions?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to seek a motion to approve the 2020-2021 Alliance Building Grant application. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sakalovic. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries unanimously. The next
Thank you.
item is review of board and superintendent performance during COVID-19. As it's a review, it qualifies for executive session. The purpose of this item is, as we've gone through the pandemic, Mr. Testani kind of wanted to discuss with us and just as kind of a roundtable about what things we all think he has done well, what things we think could have been done better, both on his part and on the part of us as his board. We're all individuals and we operate individually, and we also operate together as a board. And so he just wanted to kind of have a closed door conversation about what we all think about how we all have operated over these past 8 or 9 months. So I'm going to seek a motion to go into executive session for that purpose, with the only people being present being board members and the superintendent. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lombard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I'm going to leave it up to Ms. Valier and IT to remove the public from the meeting and to let us know when we are no longer public.
Okay, working on this now for you, sir.
All members previously in attendance are present with the exception of Board Member Jessica Martinez and the Superintendent's executive staff. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Benahan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Time is noted as being 9:15 p.m. Have a good night. Thank you all for taking the time tonight.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night,
Good night.
everyone. God bless
Good
you.
night.